Hello, lacrosse friends. Welcome to the Oshawa Civic Recreation Complex in Oshawa, Ontario for the 2014 Baggataway Cup, emblematic of the Canadian University Field Lacrosse Association Championship. I am Stephen Stamp. I am joined by Malcolm Westhaver and Patty Gregoire. We will be bringing you all the games from this year's tournament. Bishops, Gators, and Guelph Gryphons. It's a rematch of last year when Guelph won 12-10 in the quarterfinals. And the Bishops Gators player to watch, Ryan Dewar. Malcolm, go ahead and talk about him.
Ryan Dewar, slick right-handed attackman, always can find his way to the net. 29 goals this year and only 12 games played. Third year out of Cornwall, definitely going to be looking for a lot out of him tonight.
The other side of the field, we have for the Guelph Gryphons, a name familiar to lots of people in the lacrosse world. Curtis Knight, that is not his picture. That's the picture that's on their website. But there is Curtis Knight down on the field, and he led the team in scoring. More importantly, he is someone who can help the team all over the field. He's a great offensive threat. He can go back and play defense. He can do everything you want from a player. He's obviously got a couple of years' experience in the National Lacrosse League, a tremendous leader, a Minto Cup MVP, and exactly the kind of guy who can lead them to a shot at another championship.
Yeah, definitely watching him last year in that first game against Bishops. He was all over the field for them, offensive, defensively, definitely showing his experience by that NLL time that he has.
Mm-hmm. We're going to take a look at the standings from the regular season. Once again, McGill with the second straight perfect season. They go 12-0, a plus 115 goal differential. You can see they scored a lot of goals and didn't give up very many. Bishops not that far behind them.
No, two close games with Bishops. One goal game at McGill, and they lost, I think it was by 3 or 4 at Bishops, but it was very close in the fourth quarter. But if you look at McGill, only 2 losses over the last 3 seasons for them, playoffs and regular season, with 2 back-to-back undefeateds.
Over in the West Division, you'll see Guelph sitting at third place. They came in last year as the third seed with a fairly similar goal differential. They weren't overwhelming in either regular season, but they came through in the tournament last year, and they certainly are looking to do it again this season. They're a team with a lot of veteran leadership, a lot of talent. They have lost Ben Van Galen, which I think is a huge loss for them in the defensive position.
And you see there, too, they had a huge win at the end of the season. They were being able to take Brock down. Brock undefeated going into that game this year, looking like they were going to go undefeated as well in the West, but Guelph able to pull that out in the last one.
So we are now going to be joined by Pat Gregoire down on the field. He'll be between the benches, bringing us lots of insight into these games this weekend. Pat.
Boys, it's a cold one out here. The guys are all fired up, and it doesn't matter at all to them. Both teams all fired up. Bishops is going for more of a raw attempt, while Guelph's going a little more on an even keel. It's going to be a great game. You got 2 good offensives, some solid defense on both sides as well. I'm excited. It's CUFLA lacrosse. It's got to be cold. That's all it is. Back up to you guys.
Yeah, we're a week later this year than we were last year. The Baggataway Cup was the weekend before, and it's definitely cool. Last weekend, I'll tell you, Sunday in particular, was about 8-9 degrees. It was sunny. It was beautiful, but the weather's not too bad. We got no rain, and it's chilly, but it's not horrendous.
The addition for this extra week, though, comes as the CUFLA has expanded this year, adding 2 new squads in Ottawa University and Nipissing, both having great seasons in their first year here in CUFLA.
Yeah, tremendous starts for those teams. It's going to be a big night for these teams. We'll take a quick break and be right back. All right, welcome back to the 2014 Baggataway Cup on JVI Sports Network. There's the starting goaltender for the Bishops Gators. That is David Bigley. And Malcolm, you know plenty about him.
Yeah, David Bigley, fourth year on the team, but third year as a team captain. Voted right away in after his second season. Definitely the most vocal leader on the squad. You can hear him if you're in the stands the entire time. He's going to be giving it to his defense and making sure they're in the right spot.
At the other end of the field, it'll be Michael Lalani for the Guelph Gryphons. He is sprinting back to his net right now, and it's quite a matchup. And I'll tell you, Bigley is wearing shorts, which is a pretty bold statement for a goaltender in this weather.
Team rules actually with the Bishops Gators: no pants, no spandex.
Even for the goalies.
Even for the goalies. There's been a few games where maybe it's been a game where the Gators have been up by a larger margin, holding it on the offensive side, where they'll let the goalie wear pants in that case, but Bigley never will. He does actually, he's wearing a hoodie under his jersey, though. You can see just his hood popping out there.
Face-off is pulled out. Everyone's going after it. It's scrambled. Can't quite pick it up. Going after the ball.
Guelph ends up coming with that loose ball as it's squirted across the restraining line, and attackman able to get there. And Guelph's going to get the first shot on offense today.
Jordan Critch runs in behind the net. He's followed back there. Guelph loves to take their time, set up the possession. Curtis Knight with the ball. He's our player to watch. He'll jog across. Gives it over to Mike Burke. Mike Burke, another player with some NLL experience. I'll tell you, the Gryphons, even though they went 8-4 this season, they do have a whole bunch of talent. And big Ryan Serville, you saw passing the ball out from the corner. He's going to set up down low. He was the MVP of the Baggataway last year, had a tremendous tournament. You and I had a chance to see him play, and he was really something.
Oh, he made some great moves coming down from that left side there, spinning around. He got past the Gators defenseman, especially in that first game, able to pop up quite a few goals.
Mike Burke switching hands. Gets it over to Brett Olbicus. Olbicus, another guy who had a very strong tournament for them last year. Gets it down to Serville. He's going to go behind the net to Critch. Jordan Critch, another guy with some National Lacrosse League experience. So a lot of guys who have played at a very high level in the box game. Looked like we might have the first shot of the game there, but he pulls it back out. That was Liam Corbett. Stall warning is on. There's a cutter, a dive, and a shot. What a start. What a first goal in the tournament. That was Mike Burke diving to take the pass and redirecting it in one motion home. Oh, yeah,
he was in mid-air at the same time when that goal went in, getting it off before he's able to get down on the crease. Very nice goal. Guelph's going to go up early 1-0. We're going to get to see a nice replay here. As you can see him driving through the middle. We lost it there at the end, but you could definitely tell he was able to get just enough to stick on it and get that in.
Perfect timing on the pass, too, coming back from behind the net from Jordan Critch. And Guelph, very effective, working from down low, from behind the net. Both Critch and Ryan Serville, very good at it. Here's the battle once again off the faceoff. It looks like it will be picked up by Scott Johnston for the Guelph Gryphons, and they have possession after taking the 1-0 lead.
Back-to-back face-off wins for the Gryphons here early. Getting those face-off wins definitely keys. You can get some valuable time early, and you see a flag down on the field now coming right in front of the Gators bench down on the 40-yard line. We'll have to see what that is for.
Critch passing out. That one's going to skip away, and we'll have play blown down.
Here we go, Gators, you got this!
So Guelph's going to see the first power play of the game here.
Didn't see who the penalty's on, but players just sat down in the penalty chair. They're going to move it around. Serville comes back up top to Burke, to Knight. Gets it over to Olbicus.
Guelph doing a good job here, getting around the Gator slides.
Nice quick ball movement to try and force a pass through. Burke couldn't get that one, and it's knocked down. Big play for Bishops. Give them a chance to fill off the rest of this penalty.
That was Joe LaPrairie coming in at long pole, one of their face-off men switching this year. With Gators being very short at the long pole position at the early goings, and having a few guys as well. Number 55, Mason Geldart, former All-Canadian at the short stick D-midi position, switched to long pole this year as well.
So a lot of changes. H.M. Bouchard has, or sorry, that's Alex Millen with the ball up top, taking his time, moving things around. Now they're going to move back behind the net.
Gators, this is their first offensive possession of the game, as that penalty has expired on this far side there, and we're going to be all even.
Once again, moving around behind the back. Things changing quite a bit for Bishops this year. There's the first shot and the first goal. Nice job by Ryan Dewar. I was going to say Alex Henderson is gone from the team, of course, graduating. Dewar is really taking on the mantle of the scoring leadership. He does it right there.
Ryan Dewar, nice cut from behind the net, able to just get enough of an angle and just pick that top corner. Dewar showing lots of leadership all season long. We're going to see a replay here. As you can see, Dewar's just taking a jog against defender, thinking that they're going to use that screen from Malloy, but cutting back and just getting it right up top.
He said it. He looked like he was going to take that screen, and such a quick cut. The change of direction was what really opened up the space for him. And now Bishops gets their first face-off win of the game.
You were saying there with the miss of Henderson, Gators not actually trying to replace Henderson this year and going with sort of a different type of system, as there's no way to replace that kind of offense that he can provide.
Well, he was he was a great finisher, but he also created so much flow in the offensive zone with his passing and his footwork.
Speaking of him, he actually just walked into the arena right now, just down below in that front row.
Perfect timing. Yeah, the crowd starting to fill in a bit. The stands were pretty empty about 5 minutes before game time. I think some people were standing downstairs. There's a shot and another goal. Bishops showing some variety in their offense. It's just a nice little spin by Lee Knacken.
Lee Knacken, third year at the university, second year on the team. Nice spin move there to able to open himself up. Speedy left-handed on the left side there. And Gators are going to take the 2-1 lead, their first lead of the game. We're going to see this replay here with Lee Knacken, just a nice spin to get that shot off before that slide came to him.
Ben Heidegger's trying to stay with him. You can see Heidegger gets high on him, and Knacken just slides low. Bishop's going to come up once again with the face-off, so the momentum really swinging in their favor after it was with Guelph early on in the game.
Gators definitely going to use the 39 Simon Winquist there. Coming out watching a lot of games in the East, probably the best wingman in the East, because he's undoubtedly the fastest guy around. He just gets there first before anyone else can challenge him for those loose balls.
Dewar set up at the X, he's going to move it around, comes all the way back up, talk to Alex Millen. Here down to Mason Austin. Complete circuit of the offensive zone. Now the reverse directions. Dewar in the back again. Skip pass. Austin's going to go up top.
Gators seem just to want to slow it down right now. Wait to see if there's any kinks in this Guelph defense.
Guelph is not the stingiest defensive team in the Baggataway Cup. They did give up more goals than most of the other teams, so something the Bishops is going to try and exploit. There's a nice save.
That was Alex Millen driving hard on the outside. Gators re-get this ball back, though. And that's James Malloy on the goal.
That's a tough one when you make the save, and it looked like the ball was available for Guelph, and it looked like somebody just overran the loose ball. And scooped up and immediately deposited by Bishop.
Yeah, Malloy just seemed to be wide open underneath, right in front of the goalie. You give a guy that much opportunity, fourth year on the team. He's an NCAA product as well, playing one season at High Point University. And he gets a nice goal there. You see the Guelph goaltender not too happy with that one, putting a stick over his head.
Such a quick pass coming from down at the goal line extended. And Malloy, the ball barely touched the stick before it was in the back of the net. The goaltender not a whole lot of chance, Michael Lalani, to do anything about that one. And it's 3-1 for the Bishops Gators, who will go down behind the net.
Gators keeping this momentum going by winning that face-off there. Lacrosse is a big game of momentum swings. Is when you have it, you want to keep it.
Again, taking their time, being very patient. Simon Wilquist up top, moves it across. So much of this offense does flow through Dewar, but he's just moving the ball around, not trying to create too much immediately as they take their time. Guelph fairly content to sit back, let the Gators cruise around the outside of the defensive zone.
And with that no shot clock and no sign of the stall yet from the referees, Gators seem they're going to just take advantage of that themselves as well.
See Curtis Knight down in the defensive zone playing a real two-way midi game for the Guelph Gryphons.
definitely not seen from many players in the league, as that involves a crazy, in my opinion, amount of running to do that position. My career, I played in midfield and never was going to play both offensive side and defensive side of the ball. That's just
the thing we've seen Knight last year make a difference as he's there checking his man, and we've seen him make a difference in the defensive zone last year. And remember, he is the leading scorer for Guelph this year with 29 goals, 21 assists for 50 points. We have a stall.
Back communication right there.
referee stopping the clock on the field, trying to figure out what to call. I guess they were confused between each other there.
The hands went up for the stall warning. It looked like there was a whistle blown almost immediately.
After that discussion, they're going to say Gator ball, but it looks like the referee signal there. The stall is on, though.
Yeah, it stays on, and they keep possession. So they'll move it down deep. Stall comes off as they move around behind the net.
Purple off the ref, you're off the ref.
Gators is going to use now Kanakin behind the net, sort of switching it up as Dewars come up high.
That's what I said. I was like, are those 2 times you glanced? Like, yeah, I'm like,
Here's a roll, the shot. Nice save there by Lonnie on the bounce shot.
That was Winquist there, using that speed of his to create a little bit of space and get that shot off. Stall immediately put right back on again.
So the refs all over the Gators, not letting them take too much time to set up.
Gators really bunching up tight because of that. You can see Malloy was watching his footing as he backed up, so he would step over the 35.
As you mentioned, Dewar coming up top now. He's around the up high. Actually, the highest Gator in the formation now. Now he cuts down towards the net, but
Seems
definitely
like
switching guys around.
seems like they're running a full invert of what they started with all of their attackmen playing sort of in the midfield spots.
Trying to force the ball in, not able to get it was Kanakin. It's scooped up.
Guelph going to get the easy pass off, and that's going to find its way to Knight.
Nice job by Heidecker to move that ball up, and here's what Curtis Knight brings to you. Immediately they're on the attack, and he is heading towards the net, gets a shot off, and it's going to be Guelph possession.
And you just, like you're saying, the advantages to having him on offense and defense. He just moved the ball up, creating space, and what a
and then
goal.
does that. And he never seems to get tired.
No, that's the biggest thing that has amazed me when I was watching him play last year. Was just up and down, up and down. He's just able to just keep on going and get beautiful goals like that after a very long shift.
Jordan Critch with another beautiful pass coming from down low.
Pass right in the middle, and he'd be able to get that hard shot off as Brandon almost on him with that hit, but that was
It was Liam Corbett getting the ball to Knight to finish. As Critch moved it up to Corbett from down low. Corbett with the soft touch to get in tonight again. The quick release, making it very difficult for the goaltender.
So Guelph cuts that lead down now, only 3-2, but Gators win that face-off again, and Bigley and Serville going for a little game of cat and mouse, it seems, back there. Bigley definitely willing to do that all day, as long as it's even numbers out there on the field.
Gators get a chance for the clear. Long cross-field pass, scooped up by Austin Mason. Mason Austin.
Both squads featuring a few All-Canadians, as that was just announced earlier today. On the Guelph Gryphon side, Curtis Knight, Ryan Serville, and DJ Nadelko, all nominated as All-Canadians. And then on the Gator side, Alex Millen, Mason Austin, and Nicholas Brands featured out here as we received those information about an hour and a half prior to game time.
And obviously McGill, the undefeated first place team from the East, and a lot of All-Canadian players. Will be letting you in on those through the course of the weekend. They will be published on the CUFLA website, CUFLA.ca. That pass picked off beautifully, and a nice little flick pass ahead. Oh, just hopping out of the stick of Calvin Holland. But it is recovered. Nadelko gets it, moves the ball forward. Jordan Critch is up high. He's going to just cradle the ball now. Guelph again, immediately looking to the attack. They're always looking to get those goals in transition, or the scoring opportunities in transition. It's not there, though, so they pull it back out, slow things down. Burke over to Ulbicus.
And here you see Knight just jogging out from the bench, getting reset after a very short probably break, and a goal. from the Guelph Gryphons.
Liam Corbett right on the crease again. We have seen a lot of very quick releases tonight as Corbett was right on there. We're going down to Pat Gregoire down on the sidelines.
Yeah, thanks, Steven. It seems like the Bishops Gators having a hard time with that transition, as you guys mentioned it. The box is just full of confusion. This is going to be something that the Gryphons are definitely going to have to capitalize on. And if you look up the scoreboard, 3 goals have 2 of them have come off the transition. They're not in unsettled situations.
And we're going to have a push on the back against Guelph, so it's going to be Gator possession here.
Curtis Knight will put some pressure on Lindquist. Knight with some pressure and then just trots back into the defensive zone.
Gators seem to be running with basically about 2 lines out there on midfield, seeing about the same guys get out there over and over again. So we have a very tight game, 5 minutes to play.
Yeah, we're almost 3/4 of the way through this first quarter. For those of you unfamiliar with CUFLA Lacrosse, it is 20 minutes running time. Just the final part of the fourth quarter is stop time. Ryan Dewar with the ball behind the net.
Gators just slowing it right down on the outside, just gonna try to maybe get this momentum back going their way.
Really taking their time behind the net. Dewar start to reverse track, kept going. Watched by Matthew Lyon. Lyon, number 4. There's Nedelko coming in with a great slide to get the strip. You can see why he's an all-Canadian.
Yeah, beautiful double team there. Easily got that ball out of the Gators' hands, and Guelph's going to get this right back and hand it off, of course, again to Curtis Knight.
If it seems like we're saying his name a lot, it's because he's so involved in the play all over the field. Goes back to Ulpicus. Knight starts a drive. Nice little slip dodge. Takes a big hit from Nicholas Brands.
Nice move there by Critch to keep that ball in bounds as he was falling out.
Just flinging it over. It's picked up by Mike Burke. He goes over to Ulpicus. Here's Ryan Serville looking for his first chance of the night. That one's turned aside by Bigley. Knight comes up with the ground ball, and they'll just reset, take their time.
Serville definitely has experience against the Gators. Third time in the last 4 years these two teams have faced, and he's been on the squad every time.
He's just going to toss it in behind to Critch. He'll take the pass back. Serville did so much damage last year coming out from behind the net and just driving his way with that big body. There's one off the post. It's going to be Griffin's possession. Bishop's not too happy about it, but the Gryphons will maintain the ball. 3 minutes to go here in the first quarter. 3-3. This is the Baggataway Cup CUFLA Championship. I'm Stephen Stamp with Malcolm Westhaver and Pat Gregoire. Guelph moves it back up top in this 3-3 game. Comes another drive to the net. Mike Burke somehow squeezes that one through the legs of Dave Bigley.
Dave Bigley definitely not happy with that. You see just kicking the ball away from his net the second that popped out. Bigley, not the tallest goaltender in the world, so definitely down low is where he's very, very strong down there. Also strong up top, but definitely the lower part of the net, so he's going to want to have that one back. As we're going to see the replay here, just got there before Bigley was able to get his stick down.
Mike Burke is a big-time shooter. You can see him let this one go. Really a beautiful bounce shot. Extended battle for the face-off.
It's going to come out Guelph's way. And that ball got stuck in the back of his stick there after the draw. So it will be Gator possession. He took too many steps. And luckily this is in the NCAA where that if you took one step, that's going to be called now.
Scott Johnston pulling the ball out, but again couldn't pop it out of the back of his stick early enough. So the Gators will have a shot with 1.5 minutes to go here in the first quarter to try and even things up. Dewar's going to move it across to Malloy.
Gators again just seem to be content on keeping it on the outside, not letting this lead sort of shake them.
You can see number 4. That is Matthew Lyons spending a lot of time covering Dewar. Really spying him in behind the net. A lot of confidence they're showing in Lyons. In Lyons. Ball pops free. Johnston almost had it, just slid out of his stick. Nice little job of getting in the way by Rhett Handley. There's a big hit, a collision. A couple players hit the turf, and the Gators come back up with it.
Guelph was able to knock Mason Austin's stick right out of his hands. And laser beam of a shot there by James Malloy just finds the top shelf, and we're all tied up here 4-all.
Drops down sidearm and absolutely buries as you said, a laser beam. Just finding the perfect spot.
And the perfect sort of timing is we're down to the final 30 seconds here in the quarter, and that's going to throw some momentum back in the way of the Gators. But Malloy definitely pumped with that shot there. Using the Guelph defender there as a little bit of a screen and getting around him. As clock has walked onto the field.
Yeah, we're in the final 30 seconds. Again, for anyone not familiar with the play, the clock has stopped in the final 30 seconds and time is kept on the field, so we won't know exactly when it'll end, but that will do it. The first quarter has ended, a high-scoring quarter of play. The score 4-4, and the offense is really coming to the fore in this first period.
Definitely expecting that coming in. You're saying with Guelph not being the stingiest of defenses and putting up goals to win games. Gators, the same thing sort of this year, been a goal by committee type team, but been more about the offensive side of things and trying to get some more high scoring games. So it definitely looks like we're going to see that today.
Okay, we'll take a quick break. We'll be back with the second quarter of the first quarterfinal of the Baggataway Cup Championship on JVI Video Network. Let us know who you think should be the players of the game. We've got the 3 stars there. We're actually picking a player of the game for each team here in the tournament. So hashtag 3 stars if you like. That's what we always use, but tweet us at JVI Video. Let us know the player of the game for each team that you think we should be choosing.
And we're back live here, 4-4 game as the second quarter is about to start at the 2014 Baggataway Cup.
Scott Johnston coming up with the face-off to himself, flips it over to Curtis Knight, and the Guelph Gryphons get the first possession of the second quarter. Mike Burke cutting through. He's picked up immediately. So nowhere for Knight to pass it. The Gators turn it over, start to race up the field. Guelph gets all over the ball, is knocked loose. It's back on the ground. Big battle ensuing.
And they're going to say that's gone out of bounds, out of the stick of Gibson. So it's going to be Guelph possession here.
We're going to go down to Pat Gregoire, our man on the sidelines between the benches.
Yeah, thanks, Stephen. During that first quarter break, the Guelph Gryphons really were stressing that we have to play team defense rather than trying to play the takeaway. If you guys noticed, the Bishop's offense is dodging from the top, trying to initiate the dodge from up top and draw in that pass in the middle, try to lull the other defensive middies into sleep in the stack. So look for that throughout the game. Back up to you guys.
Thanks, Pat. Great observation. Here comes Matt Lyons with the ball, trying to work it forward.
That pass a little bit too low for his own teammate, but they're still going to be able to scoop that up before it gets knocked down again.
Ellie Ulbicus coming up with the ball eventually. He's going to toss it down to Serville, who stumbled a little but gets back up. We'll go over to Critch on the other side. This is so familiar from last year, seeing Critch and Serville just setting up down low, moving the ball around. Ulbicus and Knight creating from the top. The big addition, of course, is Mike Burke as well, who just adds so much. You can see him over on his offside, and Ulbicus here on his offside. You'll see Guelph do that quite a bit invert horizontally. Their offensive players try and create a bit of a different look.
So you always see that sort of a box style with those sticks inside the middle there. As Serville drives, and first goal of the game for him, as he gets right in there through the Gator defense and is able to bury for a 5-4 Guelph lead right now.
And as you said, right through the Gators defense. He's so big and strong, and probably a little quicker than he looks at first. Once he gets going, he gets that first step, and he is pretty tough to stop. We'll take another look at it here. He's just coming right out into your screen there.
And while we were showing that replay, 2 flags and a referee's hat coming down onto the field here. So looks like a couple penalties coming to both sides, as it looks like Guelph only has 1 man, but Gators sitting 2 in the box right now.
Guelph going to the man up. We'll take another look from the other angle, and here you see Serville just drives himself through. And that was, Bryson Weberg learning the hard way that you better get there a step earlier if you want to get position on Serville, because once Serville got moving, he's pretty tough to stop.
And especially if he gets any open space, that shot very quick and accurate. He's going to find the back of the net if he gets any open space like that.
As you mentioned, Guelph with 2 penalties here, or Guelph with 1 penalty, Bishops with 2. So the Gryphons take a lead and now go on the man up. 5-on-4 in their offensive zone.
And they're going to start the ball off with, of course, Curtis Knight bringing it down from the top.
Taking their time, moving the ball around. He goes over to Critch, who's come up above the goal line for this.
Definitely not a power play or defensive set you're used to sort of playing against a 5-on-4 scenario out there, as it doesn't happen too often in games.
Servill's shot is actually blocked by the defender, Alex Millen. Doing a nice job knocking that one down.
And they're just Bigley just rifling it down to the other end, trying to find Malloy, but that goes a little too far.
Guelph will take possession. There's a long pass to Knight at midfield. He's going to dodge between a couple of players. They head up into the offensive zone.
Knight saw just maybe a little bit of pressure there from Gibson, but once he crossed half, wide open to get into the offensive zone.
Moving down to Critch. Oh, trying to hit Knight, sliding through. That was William Corbett trying to get that pass to him.
That could have been a nice break for the Gators there, as if Knight would have got that ball in that type of situation. With his caliber, he probably would have scored it. As Bigley just tosses it back into his crease. That is legal in field lacrosse.
Yeah, you can do that once. I still find it a bit of an odd rule.
Bigley definitely over the years has taken advantage of that. When he sees a guy chasing him, he'll just toss it right back, take a reset it all, and get it going. And it looks like all these penalties have been released over there, so we're all evened up 6-on-6 in the offensive zone.
Bishop's taking their time. James Malloy trotting around the field, getting things set, making sure they get all their personnel they want. They're making some changes in the defensive zone, so they're going to wait before they attack the net. Now they're ready to go. Tight defense there by Christian LeBlanc.
Ball seems to be on the ground right now.
Curtis Knight working hard for it. It looks like the Gators are going to come up with it.
And Knight working a little too hard there as he gives that extra push on the back.
Dewar passes it up top, and the Gators will set up. high. Malloy goes down to Gibson.
You'll be hearing that pass combination a lot tonight as well. Dewar mixed in on that names.
There's a pass out and a hard shot from over the top by Dewar. And I'll tell you,
that's like I said, that's gonna be a combination you're gonna be hearing quite a bit coming out of the Gators tonight. Malloy, Gibson, Dewar, three of them play very well together. Third and fourth year guys, so they've had a couple years experience out there. As you'll see here, just Gibson dodging before sliding that off. Dewar just throwing the hard pass, and that's a tough angle coming from over there to get that in.
Dewar never brings it down. He gets the high pass, doesn't take it below shoulder level, just pulls it back and lets it rip. Johnson and Bouchard battling for that face-off. It's come up with by Nedelko, but he actually loses the grip on it. And it'll be Gators possession with the score tied 5-5.
I know talking to a few players before the game, watching as most teams they play with the football lines at school, seeing these new orange lines on the field, actually threw a couple of them off when they were making passes near the sidelines. And the Gators retake the lead here.
Gareth Gibson doing it himself, just running to space, finds a bit of an opening and lets it fly.
Gibson always willing to put the team on his back in situations like this. So we'll get to see the replay here. Driving through, just getting enough space to get that shot off. He finds the back of the net, 6-5 Gator lead now.
Johnson pulls that one out cleanly, picks it up himself. Nice face-off, very quick take by Johnston. He'll give it up to Calvin Holland.
Tight game so far, and I believe one goal lead has been all that's been seen so far, or ties.
Yeah.
Definitely expecting, as we're saying, this is the third time in the last 4 years these teams have faced each other here at Baggataway Cup. So lots of experience between the two.
And a lot of veteran players on both teams, so plenty of familiarity between them.
And with especially with these two quarterfinal games, the next one coming, Western and Queens, these teams have had all week to prepare specifically just for these teams, more or less not focusing on maybe the semifinals as much, making sure they get through this one.
Burke tries to slide one through to Curtis Knight, can't do it, but Albicus comes up with the ground ball, and Guelph will get a reset. That's the second time in the last few possessions for Guelph that they've almost got the ball to Curtis Knight in a very dangerous scoring position. But Bishops reacting quickly to try and take away those scoring opportunities. Albicus is going to go back up top. Burke starts to dodge down. He's met.
Pass was a little low for Servell, but he was able to pick it up.
He takes hits from a few guys. We're going to see a flag on the last of those hits. Now there's another one.
Looks like one of them came also from the bench area too, maybe a little extra wording. Got two down in front of the goalie.
And one over by the benches. So a couple of Guelph players heading for the penalty area. Or sorry, Bishop's players.
2 men down for the Gators, it seems like right now.
Yeah, Mason Geldart, one of them. One penalty we heard is a 1 minute cross check. Didn't catch what the other one is, but certainly for at least 30 seconds. Okay, the other was a 30-second hold we're hearing from Pat Gregoire down between the benches. So 30 seconds of 6-on-4 for Guelph. And then they'll go to the regular, and they take advantage of it. Ryan Serville. We'll see if they take a timeout to preserve. They do. Guelph immediately calling timeout to preserve the rest of the power play.
Yeah, unlike some other sports in hockey, you'll see like automatically in lacrosse, some penalties aren't releasable penalties, and you could score 3, 4, 5 goals on somebody's power play. As we're going to get to see the goal here from the replay. Nice pass down. Serville makes a couple moves to get away from Weberg and get an open spot and get it past Bigley. So 6-6 tied up here. About 12 minutes left to play. Guelph again taking that time out here to preserve their power play.
And Serville in his previous goal showed you his strength as he bulldodged out. And this time he shows you the stick skills with a few nice maneuvers to get out through the defense and get that shot off. Remember, follow us on Twitter at JVI Video and at CUFLA Lacrosse. There you see the hashtags to use. I'm Stephen Stamp with Malcolm Westhaver and Pat Gregoire down between the benches. And it's a very exciting first game here for the Baggataway Cup, and we expected nothing less. As a game that Guelph won 12-10 last year. As mentioned, the third time in 4 years. These teams know each other. A pretty good rivalry developing here at Baggataway, and a heck of a game so far.
And if you thought last year's 12-10 game, the game where they started off a one-goal win for Bishops at Western 2011 Baggataway Cup, where Bishops scored 4 goals in 2 minutes to win that game.
Let's go quickly down to Pat Gregoire between the benches.
Yeah, guys, quickly, during that timeout there, listening to the defensive coordinator for Guelph talk, he's saying that we don't need to slide all the time. Don't worry about sliding all the time. But if you're going to commit. They got to be sending. They said also they got to be sending the slide from the crease. They're coming adjacent, and obviously that's not working for the game plan. Back up to you guys.
With those slides, if you're a lacrosse fan, normally those coming across the crease is nicknamed the coma slide, and that's what you want to see. Is if some guy's able to get that off. The name is self-explanatory.
Scott Johnston in there against a new face-off man.
That's Joe using the long pole here on the draw. He actually passed normally the Bishops face-off man, but switching to long pole this year as he was mainly just a pure Fogo and getting a lot of field time in at the long pole this season.
Guelph gets possession as Johnston comes up with it. The play was scrambled. Again, for any of you new to field lacrosse or just joining us to check out this Baggataway Cup Championship, the defensive players playing with the long poles, give them some extra reach, some extra leverage in the defensive zone. There's a pass and a shot by Curtis Knight. There's a nice clear. So you're allowed to have 4 long poles on the field at any given time. Obviously not ideal for shooting with the long pole. That's why you don't see a lot of guys getting goals with them.
No, but when you do see a long pole get a shot off with that extra torque they can get quite a hard one. But it takes a lot longer for them to get something off. And there's a lot of stick hanging for a defender just to easily knock it loose on them.
Malloy heading behind the net. Bishop slows things down a little bit. We're tied 6-6 as we near the midway point of the second quarter of this first quarterfinal of the 2014 Baggataway Cup Championship. Thank you for being with us here on JVI Sports Network. This is our first Baggataway Cup being brought to you, and we're very excited to be part of it. Malcolm, you and I did some of the games together last year at the Baggataway, and certainly another great venue. Last year we were up at McGill's campus in Percival Molson Stadium, which was beautiful. Bit of a hike up the stairs for us.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Gorgeous place to play. Me being involved with the East, spending a couple times there over the past few years, and it's always a great place to play with the atmosphere in that field. Big fan of actually of this location this year being completely neutral, able to see a lot of fans come from a lot of different schools as places are really close. Instead of having maybe like a game where you'd have maybe in Bishops where some schools would have 10, 12-hour drives, and same with like Western.
It's true. A lot of schools within reasonable driving distance of this. Bishops still taking their time, moving the ball around. It's over on the far side of the field.
As again, you can see the Gators pulling out their standard attack man and switching up a little bit of an inverted offense here.
Yeah, just give them a bit of a break. Ball being trotted around by Rhett Handley. Going to go back to Millen.
Millen, one of the 2 midfield All-Canadians for the Gators. The other one also out on the field with Austin. 2 of them playing for the last 2 seasons together as line mates.
Now, am I imagining things, or did I see Millen with the long pole earlier in the game playing a little LSM?
Possibility. Millen, good loose ball man, so when they go down shorts, they can definitely use his skills on the wings. 5th-year player on the team, so he's seen all the situations everywhere around, and definitely can be used with his versatility.
He flips the pass off. Ball is stripped. It's going to be Guelph possession. Nice work there by David Nedelko, again showing off why he is an All-Canadian defenseman.
Actually, before the game, talking to the Gators squad, there were 1 All-Canadian defenseman, actually not even a Canadian. Saying the joke before that hand is Nicholas Brands, an American-born player, coming up and playing for the Gators.
Well, so many Americans coming into the Canadian University Field Lacrosse Association, seeing the opportunity to get some playing time and play for good quality programs in really good schools.
And a nice strip by the Gators there, and they're going to get this ball back.
Nice pass up there by Nicholas Brands. He scooped that ball up and immediately got them going up. You won't see the Gators pushing into the offense in the transition mode quite as much, but Brands gave them a chance to do so if they wanted there.
And we see a flag coming down on play down around the 40-yard line by the Gators bench. So it's for anyone, again, not into lacrosse, once that flag goes down, it's sort of the same as a stall, as the Gators are not going to be allowed to cross over the 35-yard line, or the whistle will blow.
Spinning back, Gibson reverses directions again. He's got players all over him trying to get him. Curtis Knight trying to get to his stick. He gets some space and gets a shot off, a bit of a jump shot. Nedelko comes to meet him.
Gibson just dancing in around sort of the Guelph defenders there. And Guelph really not giving him anywhere to shoot, but able to hold on to the ball in a big mix of players. It's going to be the first time the Gators have seen the power play in a while now. The shot goes wide, and they're going to get it right back.
And we've got a bit of an issue over in the penalty box. We can hear it over, I think it's over Pat's mic, that they've sent number 95 over, and he had his sweatshirt on. Can't serve the penalty until he's in uniform. So they're making him take that hoodie off, which will delay the penalty starting a bit.
Yeah, unlike, again, another rule for field lacrosse. Players, penalties, they don't start until the player is completely in the box, either sitting on the chair or down on one knee, fully geared up, as you're saying. So if you're the in-home for a game, the person who serves all team bench penalties, you have to be ready to go at all times.
Nice save by Lalani. We're going down to Pat Gregoire between the benches.
Hey guys, as we mentioned earlier in the broadcast, Guelph really well on the transition. Now it's kind of turning the other way. They're going to be living and dying by this transition. A lot of turnovers by their long sticks. Bishops are really stressing, putting the pressure, extending out on the long sticks to try and make them make that long pass. Up to you guys.
Thanks for that input, Pat. And working out for them as they are creating some, as you mentioned, some ground balls. Bishops moving the ball back in. Nedelko all over his man, nowhere for Kanakin to go.
All even out here now with that Guelph penalty off the board.
Still strange seeing someone other than Ben Van Galen wearing the 44 for Guelph. Red Handley holding on to the ball. Stall warning in effect. Comes off as he moves his way in.
As this league continues to grow and things like, you're going to start noticing that more. You're going to see guys graduated and played great years, and all of a sudden you see another guy wearing the number, and it sort of throws you for a loop. For me, it was when I first saw Mike Dubé not play with somebody else wearing 18 in Bishop's Gators after a few years of tearing up the CUFLA East.
Yeah, Dubé, one of the great talents who's come through the league over the last few years. Bishop's definitely taking their time here. They've got their defense all set, so they're just having a bit of a breather. 4.5 minutes to go in the first half. It is tied 6-6. Scoring has slowed down here a little bit in the second quarter after an 8-goal first quarter, 4 goals apiece. Handley still with the ball. He's watched by Scott Johnston.
Both teams just completely content right now with that ball staying on the outside. Guelph leaving them there, and Gators just going to wait for him to come, it seems like.
Yeah, Guelph just defenders set up in a semicircle, mirroring the Bishop's offense. Ryan Dewar's going to go over and actually have a chat with one of his teammates, James Malloy. Sorry, Gareth Gibson.
Hard to tell there, 25-15.
Yeah.
Sometimes the numbers blend in.
Handley still holding on to it. Takes a look down to see the ball in his stick. Handley and Johnson, the only guys really moving much. Now the Gators start to get some movement going, start to get some guys moving around the field. Just shortening the game a bit here.
Okay, let's change it up.
Hanley finally making a few dodges, popping back in and out, just maybe testing his defenseman there.
Johnston staying with him. He's just, you can see Hanley just waiting to get a step edge. So Johnston has to be alert.
And here actually over Pat's mic down there that we're picking up a few. You can hear the Guelph bench just making sure that their men stay on and sort of not get lulled into maybe a little bit of a sleep here and miss maybe a cutter.
Exactly. You can see when the Gators were standing pretty flat-footed, Guelph was too. And it can be hard as a defender to get out of that habit once you start. And again, Bishop's just taking their time. Handley still with the ball.
The advantages of being attackman is you run when you want to run, and on defenseman you don't get that choice. You run when your player you're defending wants to run. So sometimes you can just get into those, like you're saying, bad habit. And a guy can burn by you and cost a goal.
We had a little bit of a cutter going. Now Handley comes out, rolling from below. Picked up nicely. Scott Johnston doing a good job of shadowing him.
How long would you say Hanley's had the ball now in his stick for in this game, in this last possession?
Easily 2.5 minutes, because it was about 4.5 minutes when they got going. So it is at the 2.5 minute mark here that he's just been trotting around.
Not, little dodges in and out, but nothing too pressure that would cause him to lose that ball.
Bishop stacking things up at the top a little bit now. Looks like they're getting ready to start something. Now the ball moves around.
But right back to
Handley. Handley had 8 goals, 10 assists on the season. Be interesting to get a time of possession clock on him to see exactly how long he has had it. It has been quite a while, a few minutes in his possession. Now they try to go to Dewar cutting. Nice job by Mike Hennessy. And
finally that stall that was called about 2.5, 3 minutes ago comes into play. As that pass was out of the way for Lee Kanakin to pick up.
Guelph gets the ball. They're going to take a timeout with 1:13 left in the half. They will set things up, and just want to see if Pat Gregoire has anything he'd like to add at this point. Pat, what do you got as far as down between the benches? I may have caught Pat unprepared there. I think he was off checking something. But, a 6-6 game. Very exciting Canadian University Field Lacrosse action here. And it'll be interesting to see who can grab the momentum in this final minute 13 of this first half.
Most definitely, as you were saying earlier, though, too, definitely slowed down compared to what we were seeing in that first quarter, and probably, let's say, the first 10 minutes of this quarter as well, where both teams were just firing at all cylinders, trying to get goals, but no goals pretty much in the last 10 minutes of this game, and both teams really content on just slowing things down. But a goal here in this last minute 13, heading into a 10-minute break for halftime, can be a huge momentum swinger.
You know that Guelph is going to be looking to take their time, use that minute 13 to try and create an opening. We will take a break during the halftime intermission. Stay with us after the game. We will have we'll have the players of the game announcement. We will have an interview with a player from the winning team as well. With Pat Gregoire down on the field, Curtis Knight moves it over to Brett Ulbicus. Ulbicus going down to Serville. Back to Jordan Critch.
And just for everyone back home, the official clock is actually on the field, not the one that you see going on your screen right now. So it could be off by a few seconds at certain times. That's sort of what's seen in across all CUFLA games. As it's pretty much impossible to keep track from the booth all the way down onto the field.
Serville looking up high. Comes back out to Burke. He's going to start to drive down. Going wide.
Clock is on the field.
Rich. Into the final 30. Ulbicus with the ball. Oh, there's a shot. Nice hustle by Serville, but a great race by Bigley to try and get there. But Guelph does have the ball. Stall warning in effect. But Guelph isn't going to take much more time as they've only got about 10 seconds. There's a shot that bounces loose.
Bigley, again, getting just enough of it to keep it out. And that's the 3 whistles to signal halftime. 6-6, Bishops and Guelph after 40 minutes of play.
Very competitive. We expected to see these teams battle down to the wire again. And, they're right on pace to have a similar result to the 12-10 win that Guelph had last year. They'll head off to the dressing rooms to get warm. We'll have a 10-minute halftime break. And I'll tell you, so far, this has been pretty much everything we expected from this matchup.
Oh, most definitely. Again, we're saying third time in 4 years, these two teams seeing each other. Very familiar, and definitely looking forward to the second half here.
We're going to take a quick break. We'll be back with JVI Sports Network presentation of the 2014 Baggataway Cup. Welcome back. We are just underway with the second half of the first quarterfinal for the Baggataway Cup, playing for the Canadian University Field Lacrosse Association Championships. It is 6-6 between the Guelph Gryphons and the Bishops Gators. I'm Stephen Stamp with Malcolm Westhaver and Pat Gregoire down between the benches. Second game tonight will be at 9 o'clock.
And that's, again, another rematch of last year's quarterfinal, where Queens pulled out the upset, getting their first win ever at the Baggataway Cup playoffs, beating Western. Definitely Western going to maybe have a sour taste in their mouth coming into tonight's game.
Join us tomorrow for the semifinals. 12 o'clock will be the first game, 3 o'clock the second one. And then Sunday, the championship game at 1:30 p.m. Curtis Knight takes a little lob pass from Scott Johnston.
Knight only with one goal in the first half there, but definitely quite a few more opportunities that he just missed.
Pass is just not quite getting through to him. Jordan Critch behind the net. He and Ryan Seville will trade places. Now they switch back. Critch going for a run. He's watched there.